You see the luxury car. You see the expensive apartment. You see the watch shining beneath the sleeve of a tailored suit. What you do not see is that almost everything you own belongs to the bank. From the outside, your life looks successful. People notice when you arrive. They admire your clothes, your car, and the places you visit. Your photographs make it appear that you have finally escaped the ordinary life you once lived. But every night, when the apartment becomes quiet, the truth returns. You sit alone and check your bank account. Your salary is high, but very little remains. The car requires another payment. The apartment takes a large part of your income. Your credit cards are almost full. You look wealthy, but one missed paycheck could destroy everything. It was not always like this. When you began working, your life was simple. You lived in a small apartment and drove an old car. You did not own anything impressive, but you also did not owe much. You believed that a larger salary would help you build a secure future. So you worked hard. You arrived early, accepted more responsibility, and stayed late whenever necessary. Eventually, you earned a promotion. For the first time, you were making enough money to save and invest. But instead of building wealth, you began building an image. You purchased better clothes because you wanted to look important. Then you moved into a more expensive apartment because your old home no longer matched your position. Soon after, you replaced your car. The payments were large, but your salary could cover them. And each upgrade changed the way people treated you. Friends congratulated you. Coworkers noticed you. People began assuming that you were doing extremely well. The attention felt like proof that your choices were correct. So you continued. Every time your salary increased, your lifestyle increased with it. A raise became a newer car. A bonus became an expensive trip. A promotion became a larger apartment. You were earning more every year, but you were not becoming wealthier. You were only creating a more expensive version of your old life. Still, the image looked perfect. You posted photographs from restaurants and hotels. You dressed carefully before every meeting. You made sure people saw the car when you arrived. You wanted others to believe that you had succeeded. And eventually they did. The problem was that you started believing it too. You stopped thinking about what you owned. You only thought about what you could afford each month. As long as the next salary could cover the payments, you felt safe. But you were not safe. You were dependent. Your entire life required your income to continue without interruption. Then one morning, your manager called everyone into a meeting. The company had lost a major client. Budgets were being reduced. Several positions might disappear. For the first time, you were forced to imagine your life without your salary. You returned to your desk and calculated how long you could survive. The answer frightened you. Despite years of high income, you had almost no savings. Your car was financed. Your apartment was rented. Your expensive possessions had been purchased with credit. You had spent years looking wealthy, but you owned almost nothing that could protect you. That evening, you drove home more slowly than usual. The car that once made you feel powerful now felt heavy. You entered the apartment and looked around. Everything appeared beautiful, but none of it gave you peace. You finally understood that your lifestyle was not proof of freedom. It was proof of how much money you needed every month just to remain in the same place. You had not purchased wealth. You had purchased pressure. For several days, you tried to ignore the feeling. You told yourself that your position would probably be safe. But the question remained. What would happen if your income disappeared? The answer was simple. The image would collapse. You would lose the car. You would leave the apartment. The credit cards would become impossible to pay. And the people who admired your lifestyle would continue living their own lives. They would not make your payments. They would not protect you. They might not even remember the things you had bought to impress them. That realization changed the way you looked at everything. You no longer saw the car as a symbol of success. You saw years of payments. You no longer saw the apartment as proof that you had moved forward. You saw money leaving your account every month. You no longer saw the watch as a reward. You saw borrowed money wrapped around your wrist. You decided to stop protecting the image. You sold the luxury car and replaced it with something ordinary. At first, you worried that people would notice. Some did. They asked questions. But their interest lasted only a few moments. The payments would have lasted for years. When your apartment contract ended, you moved somewhere smaller. The new place was not impressive, but it was comfortable. More importantly, it gave you room to breathe. You began paying off your debts. You reduced unnecessary spending. You stopped purchasing things simply because they looked successful. For the first time, you directed part of every salary toward savings. Then you began investing. The progress was slow. There was no dramatic moment. No one congratulated you for reducing your debt. No one admired your emergency fund. No one could see the investments growing quietly in the background. But your life was changing. Several months later, another announcement came from the company. More jobs might be removed. This time you were still concerned. But you were not terrified. You had savings. Your monthly expenses were lower. Your debt was under control. You could survive long enough to search for another opportunity. That feeling was different from the attention you received when you drove the luxury car. It was quieter, but it was real. You finally understood that wealth is not always visible. Sometimes wealth looks like an ordinary car with no payment. Sometimes it looks like a smaller home with money left at the end of the month. Sometimes it looks like an emergency fund nobody knows about. Sometimes it looks like the ability to lose a job without losing your entire life. You had once believed that success needed to be displayed. Now you understood that real success often remains hidden. A car can make you look rich. A watch can make you look rich. A high salary can make you look rich. Even debt can make you look rich. But none of these things prove that you are building wealth. Real wealth is not measured by how much money passes through your hands. It is measured by how much control that money gives you over your future. You can earn a large salary and still be trapped. You can own expensive things and still have nothing. You can impress everyone around you while privately living in fear of the next payment. Or you can choose a quieter path. You can stop buying proof. You can build savings. You can invest. You can own assets instead of collecting obligations. You can create a life that does not collapse when your salary stops. The old version of you looked wealthy but owned almost nothing. The new version may look more ordinary. But your money is finally building something that belongs to you. Security, time, options, freedom. And eventually, you must decide which version of success matters more. Do you want people to think you are wealthy? Or do you actually want to become wealthy?